In 3 years' time, we could be settling down to watch football's elite compete in a European Super League. That's if leaked information published by the German magazine Der Spiegel last week is to be believed. They were given documents and email correspondence by the Football Leaks organisation, which details efforts by top clubs to form a Super League, breaking away from UEFA, which would see the biggest teams earning greater revenues than they currently do. Now, the leaks include a legal document proposing a Super League that could be formed as soon as 2021, just 3 years' time. It would feature 11 founding members. They include Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, not Tottenham though, as well as Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Juventus, AC Milan and PSG. And they would be guaranteed their place in the league for 20 years with no relegation. 5 guest clubs would be invited in to make up the numbers: Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund, Marseille, Inter and Roma. Graeme, is this just the inevitable progression of elite football, or greed, pure and simple?
I don't think so, and I hope not. I think maybe outside of the English Premier League, they might want that. When you look at the Juventus, it's a formality in them winning Serie A. If you look at Bayern, Bundesliga, in Spain, there's only 2 teams. You know, Atletico sort of gate crashed that party recently, but normally it's just the big 2 in Spain. But in England, you know, it's been proven in the last few years, really hard to retain the Premier League. And I think it's something for the Johnny-come-latelys who would find it attractive, you know, the corporate hospitality types.
You wouldn't be a part of that, Graeme?
No, they would find it attractive. But I think for traditional football people, it's a non-starter. And I think if you were to go to any football ground, whether it be Old Trafford, well, it's Man City this week, but if you were to go to any of the big clubs mentioned, Liverpool, I think it would be an outstanding no to that from the supporters.
But is the point of all this
want
that supporters and traditionalists don't matter in this world where the likes of, you know, and you say the Premier League wouldn't be interested, but there is a top 5 or 6, and I know Tottenham haven't been included in these discussions, that are stronger than the rest and bigger global brands than the rest, and may look at this as an opportunity to compete alongside fellow bigger global brands and leave the likes of the Bournemouths and the Watfords behind. Yeah,
but I still don't see it happening. I don't think the vast majority of supporters in England, I'm talking about England, it might be different in Italy, it might be different in Germany and indeed in Spain, but I think the vast majority of English supporters would not want it. They wouldn't find it sexy. I don't think...
well, Man United and Real Madrid and then Barcelona coming the next week?
I think to begin with, they would like it, but I think, you know, you're talking about doing away with traditional rivalries that have existed for 100 years in some cases. And I think the vast majority of English supporters would want to retain that. If you look at the Champions League, you know, when I played, it was a Champions Cup. Then the big teams, predominantly both the Milan teams, wanted guaranteed income. So let's have a league. Let's call it a Champions League. So at least you're guaranteed so many home games so you can generate some cash. And since then, you know, the pay-per-view television has superseded that enormously. But they originally wanted guaranteed income from the Champions League, so they got that. And ironically, they're 2 teams that don't feature on a regular basis anymore. I just think, as a supporter of a certain vintage, I don't see it happening.
You can see the objections, OK, from Graeme's point of view, supporters, traditional view of football. But is it going to happen anyway? These clubs, the potential sums on offer are so astronomical, and the progress since the Champions League and the elitism in football has been in train for over 20 years now. Is it not inevitable, Keith?
I'm not sure it's inevitable. I certainly wouldn't rule it out, and it does come down to money. I think, of course, the whole kind of picture has changed in terms of streaming sport now as well. That's going to go to a new level in the next 5 to 10 years. You've only got to look at Real Madrid winning the European Cup a couple of years ago. In this report that it stated they won around 80 million quid for it. Now with this new incentive, they're talking about 500 million a year guaranteed. That's a huge difference. And we know in this era more than any other era that money certainly talks. But I'm with Graeme, and I'm certainly a traditionalist. Whatever about tweaking the competition, you can't go away from what's giving you success. And I know it has changed from when Graeme played, but the format for me works perfectly well now.
But what's not to like, Kevin? Are we in danger of getting too kind of stuck to the past in all this? You know, you're going to see all the. We enjoy watching the games during the Champions League nights when it's Barcelona and PSG or Man United and Real Madrid. This would clearly be giving people what they want.
I take your point on what you're saying, but you can't get away from the fact is that football is more than just elitist. It's more than just money. It is. There's a greater significance for so many clubs around the world, around European football, than just having an elite system. Of course there is. I mean, yes, if we're seeing Real Madrid against Man United, Real Madrid against Liverpool, whoever it would be, yes, we would tune in to watch it. Of course we would. But where are we going to go to with it further down the line? Are we not just going to get to the stage? It's a big deal for away teams, away supporters, to go and watch their team away, watching the Premier League, whether they're travelling up and down in England, travelling up around the country. You won't necessarily get that big rivalry. Graham's touched on something
these
big
clubs
rivalry.
don't care about that, Kevin.
Yeah, but
they don't care about the busloads going. They're just thinking about the global
I know
TV
that.
rights and the. As
Well, you only need to look at Man City now. Man City supporters have still not taken to the Champions League. They see their main focus as winning the Premier League. That is their bread and butter. That's what they want to retain a Premier League. They've still not done that yet. So that's when you can start to talk about Man City as an elite club, first of all, within the Premier League, retaining the Premier League. Then they can go on and then concentrate. Yes, Pep Guardiola spoke about winning the Champions League as a big thing for them. Of course it is. But they've never retained it, Tom. They've never retained the Premier League yet. So Man City supporters have got a big issue with the elitism within the Champions League, and that's the way that it is for them.
I think it'd be sexy to begin with, but it would soon lose its shine.
Wear off, wouldn't it?
I think it would wear off. And you're talking about traditional rivalries that go back the best part of a century.
But we still have Man United playing Liverpool.
But there'll be no Merseyside derby, Tommy.
That's true.
We would do. That is one of the biggest games on the calendar in the Premier League.
Is the problem, Graeme, the fact, and the Association of European Leagues, which represents all the leagues around Europe, and the smaller leagues will be badly hit by this, come out and say it's the closed nature of it, right? The idea of not having promotion relegation, you know, that goes against everything that football, the structure of football has been about.
But they can do what they want. It's a new league. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
They can structure it however they want. But I think you seem to be provoking the argument, which is your job.
True, yeah.
But it's more than, it's not just about money, Tommy. You know, how much more money does there need to be in the Premier League? Sterling, if we can believe what was written last week, Sterling's just signed a new contract, a 24, 25-year-old boy on £300,000. How much more money does the football clubs want?
Have you ever heard any of these football clubs say, we have enough money now, thanks very much?
No,
like,
no,
that
they
hasn't,
won't.
they've never...
But these decisions, you know, founder members and another one's been invited, these decisions are being made not by football people. And I think, you know, they'll get it wrong if they go down this road, in my opinion. I'm a football man. The people that are making these decisions, the people that are prepared to go to these meetings and be part of the start-up group are not football people. You know, they're executives that are looking at the bottom line. It's about, you know, like you've talked about.
Do you think it would turn fans off?
I think it would, ultimately. It turns me off. The thought of it now, as a football fan, turns me off right now, even with the possibility of it.
The final word on this, Keith, Arsene Wenger in May, as he was coming to the end of his time in Arsenal, he was ahead of the curve, and he probably knew that a lot of this was going on. He said that the European League was inevitable, a Super League at that stage. He says, in a few years, you will certainly have a European League over the weekends. It is inevitable. Why? First of all, to share money between the big clubs and small clubs will become a problem that we want to get away with. A domestic league will certainly play Tuesday, Wednesday during the week, so it'll be a bit like League Cup sort of thing. It'll be played during the weekend, and the main focus will be the European Super League at weekends. I mean, can you see it happening despite the reservations?
I could see it happening. There's no doubt about it, because I come back to the point, money talks. But I think it would be a crying shame. I really do. And those battles that we get against the top teams, against the lesser teams, I think it's very different for the Premier League and what we're more used to seeing, because the competition is there. The way the Premier League is marketed worldwide is the best in the business, where it doesn't apply to Serie A, it doesn't apply to La Liga,
They're the ones that kind of drive.
And they seem to be the driving force in this, in particular Bayern Munich, where it's obviously broken the German press.